Hey guys, I wanted to draw your attention to a couple things when we're talking about the Delrin bushings, and these are the RideTech bushings. They're impregnated with a lubricant, so they're self-lubricating bushings. These bushings are really, really good, but they're brittle. What I mean by that is right here in the directions it says, do not drive in with hammer. If you try to put this when you're installing the bushings into the sleeve, if you try to use a hammer to set this, it's going to crack one of these portions. How do I know? It happened. Also, what I recommend is if you don't have this factory tool, okay, right here, this is the factory tool that they recommend using to take out the cross shaft, okay, for your control arm. Just take it into, like I took it to Les Schwab. I've watched other people on YouTube, and when they're having these bushings installed, it's just better to do something like that. Take it into someone that has the press. If you have a press, just be real careful if you don't have the right tools. One of the other things they recommend now, if you have, this is the exact same instructions you'll have for like my C10, same instructions. This is not the same A-arm or control arm that my C10 has, but it's the same procedure with the Delrin, so it's not that big a deal. But this piece of metal for the Tri-5 Chevy, you have to have something in between both sides of the control arm. So this is one side of the control arm. It has two pieces that the sleeve goes into. If you don't have a metal support within inside there, when you try to press this out, it's going to crush that. Okay, so it's real important. And like they talk about, do not drive in with a hammer. Okay, once you get it in, or once you're able to press it in, then you can use the tighten the hardware with the existing bushings to eliminate any gap you might have. So then what you're going to do once you put Loctite on these bolts, you're going to tighten these bolts in, and that's going to suck or push in the Delrin bushing into the sleeve. And then every time I torque mine down or get it set, I put in, I just put some lines like I talked about before, with a paint pen letting me know. So now I'm in the process of putting in the progressive spring. When you put in the progressive spring, let me walk you guys through that. Oh, and the reason I have an extra one here, I had to buy all new bushings. So just to let you know, or we had to get all new bushings. I talked to you guys about earlier in this video, I talked to you guys about the tall shaft on the upper ball joint. That's to help with the, let's see here. Oh, this I've already done. So when you're putting in the new ball joints, you torque these down to 25 foot-pounds. The bottom one, 25 foot-pounds as well. It can be kind of hard to get into these back ones, so do the best you can, get in there. And then 50 foot-pounds for the castle nuts. So 50 foot-pounds for this one, and then the one down below. All right, so let's get to the spring here. And like I've showed you guys before, if you don't get the right height you're looking for, then you're going to cut 5/8 off the coil to drop it 1 inch, and take it off the top, not the bottom. Okay, so here's the instructions. Pretty straightforward. We've all done this before. I'll show you guys. I'll mount the camera up so you guys can see me doing this with my little tool. I have another video that I created that shows me making the tool for this. So here we go. Hey guys. All right, so this is the spring compressor tool, little thing that I made. On my other video, showed you guys how I welded this little piece of round stock through the eyelet plate. For me, it works really well. I use, didn't cost hardly anything, just all thread. And then I do put anti-seize though on this pretty liberally, because I have a washer and the top of this bolt, so they slide together so that it's not spinning on the top of the frame there where your shock, the end of the actual shock itself goes through. So This makes it a little easier to move things around. Goop that stuff on there. I don't want to get too crazy, but enough that got it on there. All right, so that guy's there. Now let's see what we've got here. So my garage is a mess. Sorry guys, it's just trying to keep things going here in a little tiny garage. Well, I guess if I didn't have Rusty sitting over there, it'd be different, but okay. So on my old man glasses so I can show you guys what's going on here. Okay, so this is the RideTech Progressive Coil. There is a compressed side or a tighter bound section. This goes to the bottom, and then there is a looser bound section that is on the top. This is so when you're driving around town, you're using the looser section, and it's a really comfortable ride. And then when you get into a corner and you're cornering, or a really stiff bump, pothole, or something like that, it tightens up and uses the lower section. So it gives you really good cornering, but also the all-around feel, and that's what makes the StreetGRIP the StreetGRIP, StreetGRIP the StreetGRIP, along with the other things. Okay, so how do we do this here? So the spring's going to go in. And I've got to get this guy up inside here first. See where I'm going. All right. Now last time I was doing this, I made a mistake when I started, and I didn't get it into the top of the pocket up above here. So make sure that it's sitting there. Then once you got it set up there, and inside you'll see, if you look underneath, there's a little ridge that comes down from the top of the frame, like a little lip. So you want to make sure that you've got the spring around the lip. And then in the bottom of this A-arm, or control arm, you want to make sure that the end of the spring right here matches up with the end of the control arm, or your A-arm, like so. Got mine lining up here, and so there's a little pocket for the end of the coil of the spring to go into, and then as long as you're on the inside of this lip, and this is the kind of tricky part, to get it into both. No, I don't have it. I might have to, let's see. Get this guy around a little bit here until I get lined up again. Oh, well, just fumbling along by myself here. All right, here we go. Let me make sure I've got the right end down here. Progressive ends down, yep. Okay, here we go. Doing it again. Okay, so there we go. I can pull it up. Now, what I want to do here, I'm going to hold it with my knee like that. So I take my little tool, the top section here actually comes off. And it slides down through the shock hole at the top. It's there. This bottom one, along with the jam nut, go down through the bottom of your control arm, the lower control arm slash A arm. And then you just screw them both together. I put the jam knot on first. Got this on here first. There we go. I don't know if you guys can see that. Hopefully you can. All right, here we go. And then get the bottom of this guy. Just line it up here and then twist away. And I go down until I reach the other one. I have the bottom one up to half, so I know when I get this down, when this guy gets down to the bottom, that it is about halfway down. There we go, make sure that's down tight. Tighten up the jam nut on it. And there's two little holes, which is cool inside of this, side of the long bolt that you buy. Fingers. And so you can see the inside to see how many threads are down. Because there's going to be a lot of torque on this, right? A lot of pressure. Okay. And I just tighten it up. Move it around until it gets really tight. Okay, that's going to hold the spring where I want it. I'm going to go back up one more time with my hands, just make sure that I'm seated up here properly where I need to be. It's just around that lip, which is what I want. Okay, and then the end of the spring is going to line up with the pocket perfectly. So we are good to go there. All right. And then I'll show you guys here. So here is the tool that I made. The all thread comes down. There is a large nut, and I welded a washer to the end. There's another washer down below that, and then in between that, I've got the anti-seize, so that when you are tightening it down, you're not tightening it directly on the bolt hole here that you use for your shock, end of the shock. So pretty cool little tool. It was neat. Watched some other people on YouTube make them, and so I made my own. Got my little lock nuts on here. So it goes down to this plate, and this plate is a piece of round stock, and then there's an eyelet. Because it's on the round stock, and the eyelet allows it to articulate and pull up, which is pretty cool. And then, yeah, the two pieces, I'll show you here. This larger nut right here, so half of it, and there's two little holes down right around the other side here. There you go. And in those holes, you can see how far the threads have gone down. So I've got the all thread from the top, and then the all thread coming from the bottom of the eyelet, about halfway on each. And then, yeah, just tighten it down and good to go. This is the bottom, like I was talking about, a little pocket right here that the end of the coil goes into, and then above, it's real hard to see because everything's black, but there is a cup right up in here that you put the spring around. So the spring goes on the other side of the lip of the cup that goes right around the backside there, and make sure that it's there set, and you're good to go. When you're looking at these guys right here, when you do take out your bushings, I would do them one at a time, or if you don't, one thing that I did, and I watched another video where the person did the same thing, and I think they even talk about it in the directions. Make sure that you mark which one goes to the front, which one goes to the back, because if you flip these around when you put it on, they're set at an angle. And there's a large and a small bolt that go in here, are shorter. One's longer than the other. Not really large, but one's longer than the other. And if you put this rod in backwards, then you're going to be pointing the wrong direction. Also, mark down your passenger side and your driver's side. I just, with a pen on the bottom of each one of the A-arms, I put down driver's side, passenger side, and I did the same thing with the upper A-arm. So, yeah, those are my words of advice, I guess. And remember, the tall ball joint is supposed to look like that. This is to help with the, I don't remember if it's camber or caster, but it's supposed to help with the alignment of the vehicle. Okay, with the Tri-5s. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and tighten this down, and I'll flip the camera. All right, here we go, guys. Find this here. All right, and as I tighten this down, it just pulls up the bottom. You can see it coming right up. Make sure that you get the caliper or the spindle out of the way as you're pulling this guy up, because it has a tendency to want to get down into what you're trying to do and cause problems. So there we go. There we go. I just had longer arms, right? All right. Oh, got my finger caught. All right, here we go. And a ratcheting wrench would probably work a whole lot better. All right. I'm going to switch hands here. Here we go. And it's pretty slick with that little flat plate, man. It just, I know a lot of people create little tools that use the bottom of the shock, right, in your lower control arm or lower A arm. But having that flat plate, it's nice, a lot of surface area that you're spreading that tension out over as you're pulling up. And if you're doing it by yourself at home, it's a lot safer. Now, once I get the control arm up high enough to put the spindle on the lower ball joint, I need to torque it down to 50 foot-pounds and then put in the carver pin. But getting close there. We're getting close. Oops. All right. Here we go, here we go. Come on, buddy. There you go. All right. Definitely a nice little workout, plus it's 100 degrees outside. Turn off my fan just because I'm trying to make a video with the fan. It's so noisy. So I'll get it back on in a minute. All right. There we go. So now I'm going to let it down just a little bit more, because ball joint, I got it up higher than the spindle needed it to be. I'll let it back in here. Man, this is such a cool little tool. I like this little tool. Inexpensive and makes things really safe. into the ball joint, into the shaft of the ball joint, sorry. Always say the best terms. I try, but I'm not a mechanic by trade, so I just do the best I can. Let's go backwards here. Lower this guy down here. Sometimes just talking out of my butt, so I want to use the right vocabulary terms, right? Sound like I know what I'm doing, but I don't know what I'm doing. But I'm having fun doing whatever I'm doing. Okay, here we go. So I'm down solid on there. Let it down a little bit more. Make sure it's on there real good. Put on my castle nut. Release a little bit more of the tension, so I'm backing it out. Now it's completely loose. All of the weight now is on the ball joint, so I'm going to move it around. All right, and I know I got anti-seize all over the disc, but I'll clean them off. Okay, we're not even close to running this thing yet. Okay, so I'm just going to tighten it up a little bit like this, and then bottom, and then we'll torque it to 50 foot-pounds. Okay. Trick is, now that I've got all this anti-seize all over my fingers, getting these sockets out next to impossible. My adapter here. There we go. Hey. Not too shabby for an old guy. All right, here we go. All right, and I am set at, it's locked at 50 foot-pounds. There we go. Now let me see if I'm close with the carter pin. Oh, look at that. Lines up perfectly. What? Let's use some of that, as Mr. Rawlings would say, right? Okay, let's see here. Here we go. All right. Bend this carter pin up and over. I'm getting it. Okay, what? So excited. Oh my gosh, this is cool. So guys, I gotta tell you, it seemed like this was gonna take forever. I mean, just not seem like this took forever to get the bushings pressed, and I started this at the beginning of summer. I wanted to have it rolling as a roller by the end of the summer. It just seemed like things just kept coming up. This would come up and that would come up, and it just wasn't happening to finally be where I am. So I know I've talked about in a lot of the other videos. I mean, since we didn't go out and buy brand new Wilwood brakes, I had to find out, and we already had the CPP calipers, I had to find out what would fit with them. So I know in my other videos I talked to you guys about it. So we have, grab one of these guys right here. Where are my DRPs? There we go. All right. So, RideTech. Oh, I cut myself. Or no. Is that? I must have cut myself. RideTech spring, RideTech bushings, RideTech ball joints, Hyatt's drop spindle, 79 to 81. A body, which is really a G body rotor. The caliper, I believe, Hyatt said it is for a 69 Camaro, I believe. And then the I had to find the correct bearings, and then the correct seal for the back, and then got the DRP bearing spacers to make sure that they match. So bearing spacers, I haven't put a bearing spacer on that side, but I do have a bearing spacer on this side. Oh, that's where my other one went. This guy goes right into here. I wonder why another carter pin. I had to get all this stuff, guys, do all the research and find out how to do it. Oh my gosh. But if you do get the RideTech StreetGRIP and you want to put disc brakes on for cheap, on the cheap. The guys at Hyatt's are super cool. So if you talk to them, then you can buy everything else at Rock Auto, you know, to get disc brakes. So it's a lot cheaper than going with one of the other big brands like Willwood, so forth. I am going to put Willwood brakes on Grandpa D. I'm sorry, on Rusty, not on my C10. But for Smoky here, since we already had the parts, it's super cool. And then on the back, we went from the disc brakes that we had set up for my Ford 9-inch that's going in Rusty. We ended up getting the brackets. I talked to Speedway because part of it, when I purchased the Ford 9, the brakes that were on it, they had brackets from Speedway, but the calipers are from a Cadillac. I need to find out the year of the Cadillac, but those are from CPP. And the guys at CPP were super cool, so I ended up getting the brackets to make those fit. Now I just have to turn down the inside of those axles to get the hub on all the way, or the rotor on all the way, to make sure that it fits, and I might have to get some spacers. But other than that, guys, check this out, right? Super cool. Oh my gosh, I'm beyond happy. So I will put the bearing spacer, the DRP bearing spacer in there. To set the bearing spacer, it's real important. You have to do these, if you are getting DRP bearing spacers, you have to do it while the bearings are, you don't have grease in the bearings, okay, so they're dry. And then go ahead and set them and stuff. So I will do that in a little bit, not right now. Now I am going to lower this all the way, or release this all the way. And the cool thing about this now is I can just, once the tension's off of it, I can just unscrew it from this nut here. There we go, the bottom drops out. The top, as long as I take that little jam nut off, there we go, it's up a little high. Just pulls right out of here. There we go, getting it. All right. And this is what I was talking about, the two washers sliding on each other, right? So there's two washers here. Here's the jam nut that I put on, and then pretty slick, inexpensive tool that makes putting on springs safe. And then I'll show you guys that the spring's in the pocket correctly here. So then I just put this together, and when I need to do another one, which would be taking Rusty apart, or if I have to do this one again, I can do that. And then take this jam nut up, and we're good to go. That's locked down. And then I just bring this up with the jam nut to make sure that I don't get dust and dirt and stuff like that in between the two washers. But yeah, pretty cool little tool. Does a good job. It's inexpensive. You can make it on your own. You don't have to pay money for it, which is wonderful. I'm always good with that. If you can do something on the cheap, and guys, if you want to do disc brakes on your Tri-5 on the cheap, especially for getting a StreetGRIP, I'd recommend it. Everything I've seen with the StreetGRIP, I'm really excited to have my dad drive around, and I'm looking forward to it. So when the time comes and get him rolling along, I think it's going to be pretty cool. I'm excited to see what it's like. All right, so I'll put this guy back. So this is what I was talking about with the spring seating in. So you can see right here, there's a little space made for the spring itself, the end of the spring, and it fits right into that pocket. So we're done. Now I'm going to put the caliper on. When you buy, if you buy the drop spindles with the StreetGRIP, you also have to buy the brackets if you don't get the Willwood brakes or something like that. So you have to buy the caliper brackets, and they come from Hyatt's. The guys at Hyatt's are really cool to talk to. Give me just a minute. I will look and see where I put those, and oh, it's right here. So it's already attached. So here you go. And the most important thing, or what they're going to look at, is the measurement from center to center right here, where the caliper enters in. So from this eye hole, center of that eye hole, or the center of this bolt hole right there, to here where the caliper fits in, that's what they need to know. That size, that tells them this caliper will fit in. And here's the CPP caliper we're putting in, big bore front disc brake. So super cool, guys. I'm going to put that on real quick and be right back. Okay, guys, so got the caliper on, just a couple bolts in the back. Torque them down really tight, a little Loctite on them, and they are set. Gonna need to put the, oh gosh, these tie rod in, but I'm not quite sure what the exact name for these guys are. I know they have the bump stop on them, but so gotta put this guy on. It's gonna go just like this, down under here, like that, and then we're good to go to start putting the steering together again. So a little excited about that. Getting this guy together. So there we go, guys. That's the front end and having the springs installed. So the next thing on RideTech's directions after the springs is the sway bar. So I'll work on the sway bar. And then after the sway bar, I believe that's when I start putting in the, then I will hopefully put in the shocks themselves. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the sway bar. If the sway bar says that I have to have the vehicle with, I'll read through the instructions with the full weight of the vehicle on it. That's obviously not going to happen. So if that's the case, then I'll just skip this and go directly to the shocks themselves and put the shocks in. So, all right, guys, thanks for checking this little quick video out. Remember, like and subscribe to myself and all the other amazing YouTubers that I've listed down below that help me out. And gosh, guys, I can't tell you how many times I get discouraged. I look at your videos and check your videos out, and because of your videos, it keeps me moving and going forward. So thank you guys so much, sure, and we'll see you guys later. Thanks.